All right, everyone. So, if you all have enjoyed yourself so far, clap once. Well, we got more than one clap, so that means you really had a good time. So we are so thankful for that. Before we leave, we have a few more people who are going to get up and share a few things, but we have a panel discussion that we're going to do now. So if we could have all of our panelists to come on up and sit down so we can share some information. And also, we do have some really good raffles that are still here. So, I don't know, Miss Tracy, if you want to do a raffle real quick.
Right here. Sit next to you. This is who I want you to get the hat.
Erica,
She's with the National Peanut Board.
Focused on peanuts. One thing that we all know is that peanuts are more than just a snack. They're a nutritional powerhouse, as we've heard from the facts last night. They are a key ag crop and surprisingly a misunderstood food. In this dynamic panel, you're going to hear from our peanut farmer, Mr. Lonnie Gilbert. We have representatives from Mars and the National Peanut Board. And we're going to talk about some of the things in regards to how peanuts play a nutritional role and different things that you can see from them in general. So, before we get started, I'm going to allow each of our panelists to introduce themselves. And we'll do a brief intro so we can keep it moving. So, we'll start with our National Peanut Board representative, Miss Maria Miho. I got the last name correct, right? Okay.
I am Maria Mihawk, and I am Senior Vice President of Finance and Compliance for National Peanut Board, and I've been there about 18 years. So.
Hello, I'm Anne Marie DiLorenzo. I work for Mars Wrigley. I buy the peanuts. I've done that for the last 15 years and truly enjoyed that job. Thank you very much to Dexter and Tracy for having us here. This has been truly a great honor to be a part of this event, so thank you very much.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Eric Owino. I run the supply chain for Mars. So basically, we have 14 factories here in the United States that make many of the brands you see up there, and I have the privilege of running those factories. So, among other things, making Snickers and M&Ms, which is very, where peanuts are a very important ingredient, as you all can imagine. So, nice to be here.
Lonnie Gilbert, peanut farmer here in Jackson County, Florida. That's about it. But besides that, entrepreneur, preacher, singer, musician.
Well, looks like we got all around panelists for today. The first question that I have for each of you is, what is one of the biggest misconceptions about peanuts that you have encountered? Who would like to go first?
You know, I don't know if Kimberly is still here from Florida, peanut growers, but that peanuts grow on trees.
Yep.
Two things, I'm gonna say two things. Peanuts grow on trees, and I tell people I buy peanuts for a living, and they look at me like I'm crazy, but the amount of times I've been asked which company makes peanuts. I could be a very rich person just answering that.
Okay, I'd say the biggest misperception is around peanut allergy and the prevalence of peanut allergy. So there's less than 2% of the U.S. population that is affected by peanut allergy, but the public thinks it's about 25%. So I think it's pretty big.
I know that was a misconception for me until I went to a meeting by the peanut board. I knew everybody was allergic to peanuts. That's how they make you feel, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think the only one I can add is that everybody thinks peanuts are the same, that they're not different. But we know that they are, so I think that's a misconception.
I learned that as well, that there are a lot of different varieties of peanuts. From not just, from organic to different, I don't know them all. I don't know any of them, honestly, the names of them, but there are so many different varieties of peanut. The Virginia peanut, all I know is Virginia, that's bad. The Spanish peanut, I know that's bad, but I don't know enough.
I would say from a farming standpoint, which I do have some farmers that can agree with me, can peanuts be planted behind peanuts? It can. With the right soil samples and research, it can be planted behind peanuts behind peanuts, rather than, we usually look for crop rotation, but of course with prices how they are, so we do what we do.
Okay. Well, Mr. Gilbert, you can keep the mic. You have our next question. So what inspired you to become a peanut farmer? And what makes this crop important?
Okay. Watching my family farm years from, never got a chance to see my granddad farm, but my dad, my uncle, and my cousin, watching them, so they inspired me to want to be a peanut farmer, And I would say the importance of it just something about how peanuts grow. That's all I can say.
I like them once they come out. I like a good boiled peanut. Those are my favorite. And how many people? I've met several people who ain't never had a boiled peanut before. So it's very interesting to me because that's how I look. Okay. All right. Our next question is for Maria. When you talked about the misconceptions, what role does the Peanut Board play in the education and research around peanuts and peanut allergies and different things like that?
Okay. So our board, which was began in 2000, our initial board, it was very important that they be a part of the solution for peanut allergies. And so since inception, we have funded over $38 million towards peanut allergy and education. And so it's very important to us. So we have different avenues that we do that. We have a registered dietitian on our staff, as well as we have another registered dietitian that we contract with that is specific to schools, K through 12. And those are big areas, of course, with peanut allergies. So we're always at conferences trying to educate people who are decision makers at K through 12 institutions, and then also at colleges and universities, working with food service individuals there to help educate them on safety in using peanuts in recipes and in the universities.
Well, I know that I ate enough peanut butter and jelly during my pregnancy, and I think that 7 is ready to eat her first round of peanuts. That was my favorite snack. Okay, our next question is for Eric. From a supply chain perspective, how does Mars collaborate with peanut growers to ensure consistency and quality?
Yeah. I'll let Anne-Marie chip in, but from
Okay.
my standpoint, obviously Anne-Marie buys the peanuts. She then passes them over to us in the factories, and then we convert them into either Snickers or M&Ms and all the different varietals in between. And there's also a product called Munch. Hands up if anyone's ever tried Munch. Yeah, that's for peanut lovers. That's a great product, one of my favorites. But obviously we convert it, and so as we think about peanut farming, one of our most important principles is quality. And the quality starts with what we saw this morning, with what Mr. Gilbert showed us. Everything from how you prepare the soil, how you prepare the ground, to how you actually till it, harvest the peanuts, and then get them into us. And so when we get them, we obviously get them skinned. We have criteria for how much skin we can accept into our process. It's less than 5%. In some cases, even less than 1%. And not many people know, but if you kind of think of making M&Ms and M&M peanuts being obviously peanuts being a critical ingredient, you think of it in terms of a draft of a football draft, for example. Only 1 out of 100 peanuts will make the cut to make it into an M&M. So as you think about the quality and how we buy peanuts and the criticality of everything that goes into that peanut, that's one fundamental piece that we need to stay close with farmers on and make sure that we're supporting the farmers to enable them to get the yields, the harvests, and the quality of peanuts that can make the cut into a Snickers or into an M&Ms. I'll let Anne-Marie talk a little bit more about what we do with suppliers. Perhaps that would be interesting as well.
So the one way that, so for 15 years I've worked with growers. I go out to fields, I go to every grower meeting I'm invited to. But one of the initiatives that we drove was High-Lake peanuts. And for M&Ms, our largest consumer complaint, not just for M&Ms, but for Mars Inc. So every product we make, our largest consumer complaint for 15 years was stale, rancid peanut M&Ms. And it was because a normal lake or standard lake peanut, the propensity of that to go rancid is very high. Whereas a High-Lake peanut, the propensity of that going rancid is almost zero. So if you ever went to a restaurant and ordered French fries that taste terrible, most people believe it's because the oil was bad that they were fried in. No one really realizes that a peanut is 50% oil, and that oil inside of it can go rancid. They think the peanut M&M is terrible, which is even worse. But when we switched to high-lake acid peanuts, our consumer complaints went down 97%.
Wow.
So it's very critical that we grow high-lake peanuts. And I saw some on the field today. I'd so love to see more here in Jackson County.
Awesome. I know I just learned something new with that. One more question for you. Well, with that being said, what innovations or trends in peanuts are most exciting from a sourcing and product standpoint?
Yeah, so I could give a little bit of insight to that. Two things, we obviously keep track of trends and where consumers are going because obviously we want to be able to cater to that occasion. And you know, peanut butter and anything that has to do with peanut butter is really a thing, and it continues to grow. So you saw us launch peanut butter M&Ms. You're going to see us doing a lot of things around peanut butter and Snickers. Some of you may have tried peanut butter Snickers. So we're very into peanut butter right now. And I think in addition to that, any innovations we can do where we're creating texture differences, and obviously peanuts are crunchy and you know, very flavorful, have a lot of protein, which is also good. We're looking at innovations where we can mix things up so you can get a little bit of softness, a little bit of texture from the peanut. You can also get that salty, sweet sensation. So you'll be seeing innovations in that space. Some of them I can't talk to. I will literally lose my job. But you're going to see some interesting stuff in the next year. But obviously PB&J is something that's still out there. So we do a lot when it comes to innovation, and obviously that's what keeps the candy business so fun.
One of my new favorite peanut butter and jelly sandwiches is the chocolate peanut butter. I don't know if y'all tried that yet, but Jif makes it. It's amazing. It will change your life on a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, okay? All right, so here's a question for each of you. How do you all feel that the peanut industry is evolving in terms of production, consumption, and public perception? It's a loaded question. I can repeat it if you need it.
It is. Well, it is, I would say, peanuts are evolving, but there's a misconception to the point of what it takes to really grow good quality peanuts. I'm probably tapping into one of our questions on the panel, but as you guys know, we have low market prices. But yet skyrocketed input prices. So that becomes a main issue. So, but at the same time, from our standpoint in the South, peanuts have been the more profitable crop to plant. So, I don't know. It's a hard question to ask, I guess, for each individual person. It could be a different answer, but that's my perception.
I think I'll just comment on technology and the impact of technology on production and science and know-how. I think some of the things Mr. Gilbert talked to this morning around, you know, how to maintain your soil health in the best possible way. Obviously, a lot of that is rooted in deep science. Looking around at the fields as well and seeing the drones and drones flying around, that's a first for me. I've never seen that before. Probably you guys seen that for ages. But I was I felt like I was in Star Trek this morning, looking at drones flying around. So I'm pretty sure that, as technology goes, it's going to help us get better scientific insights into benefiting production, seed knowledge and such. But if you kind of move to my area of the supply chain when it comes in, technology is playing a huge role for us in one, screening for quality. We're able to use optical technology today with cameras to actually continue to weed out M&Ms that maybe need to be reworked versus those that can be good enough, either be color, size, or size variation. We're using technology for that, and we're starting to see how that's impacting production and getting us better output. So I think there's a lot of exciting things that are coming ahead in terms of science, technology, know-how that's going to boost production.
I think one of the biggest things in the last 10 years that will change the peanut crop for generations to come is the mapping of the genome. The ability, there's a group of folks really looking at the wild species to understand what genetics in the wild species can help with on-farm issues like drought tolerance, disease resistance, leaf spot. I think one of the biggest things that will change probably in the next 10 years is one day we're going to find a solve for aflatoxin, which will not only help U.S. peanuts, but it's going to open the world to the U.S. peanuts because, once we eliminate aflatoxin, we can have a much bigger market in the EU to deliver our peanuts to. And today that's not really highly viable because we have a problem with aflatoxin.
For those of us who may not know what that is, can you tell us what aflatoxin? I got you.
My layman's terms of it. I'm not a scientist. But aflatoxin is it starts with aspergillus and it goes in when you have drought conditions. You have this nice borer bug, punch a hole in that peanut shell, and aspergillus goes in, and at times it'll leave this toxin, which is called aflatoxin. It's highly impactful to your liver if you eat a lot of highly parts per billion. So the US limit is 15 parts per billion. If you're eating about 50 pounds a day at 100 parts per billion, you're probably going to have liver cancer eventually. If it's higher than that, you can have acute liver issues. So it's bad for you. And in the southeast, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, you're highly impacted by drought-like conditions. We haven't had rain now in 11 days in the southeast, which is setting up a nice environment for aflatoxin. So I'm starting to get concerned, and I want to do a rain dance. So I'm hoping for some rain.
Please.
But anyway, when you have drought-like conditions, you tend to have a higher concentration of aspergillus, which then causes aflatoxin in peanuts. Does that help?
Yes, ma'am, it sure does. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to say, so production is upward trend. So with that, of course, we need to find homes for all those peanuts as well. And to go back to the increased production, as Lonnie mentioned, and also was mentioned earlier today, that peanuts become the choice because cotton's not a good choice because of the pricing. But so, National Peanut Board, is working on trying to, through production, research and such, but trying to find new uses for peanuts, but also, as Anne-Marie also said, so working with the American Peanut Council to try and help with exports as well. So as production increases, we definitely just have to find places for those peanuts to go. And then consumption, talk about consumption. So consumption was at an all-time high in 21 at 7.8 pounds per person in the U.S. And some of that was kind of off of pandemic because everybody's at home eating their PB&Js. So we've been a little bit down from there, but we're still high at 7.3 pounds per person in the U.S.
It was, to public perception.
Oh, of peanuts? They love them. I mean, people love peanuts. They really do. Growers do, and people love them. Because they're fun, they're delicious, they're high in protein, as was already mentioned earlier. They're a great plant protein source as well, which is very popular with, especially with Gen Z and younger individuals.
Well, I've got one more question for you all, just in the essence of time. And this one's gonna focus on our, just peanut farmers in general, but why are peanut farmers essential to both our food system and our economy? So that'll be our final question for all of you.
But I'll let you finish, but I'll just say from a Mars perspective, you know, Frank Mars, who's one of our owners, he is very famous for saying, without farmers, we don't have a business. We're an ag converter. So if we don't have growers growing peanuts for us, how can we have peanut M&Ms or Snickers, right? Across the board, every product we make relies on growers to grow those for us. And so it is highly critical that we partner with our growers and we continue to grow high quality peanuts to make peanut M&Ms and Snickers.
I'll use a recent experience I had visiting some of our dairy farmers. As you know, we use a lot of milk to make the products that we make, and we were visiting some dairy farmers, and someone threw a statistic out at us that I found just overwhelmingly compelling, and it was something to the tune of, don't quote me on the number, but I think 2% of the US or less are farmers and feed 98% of the country. So if that statistic doesn't emphasize the importance of farming, I don't know what will. And in the same conversation, a lot of discussions were had around what's the future of farming. So a lot of you in this room, obviously I'm not gonna be ageist, but I am gonna think that many of you have kids or grandchildren for sure. And the question that's very important is what will they wanna do and how will they wanna work? And will they wanna continue doing what you do? Because going back to that 2% feeds 98% or 100% of the country, that's such an important thing. So we are really looking to you guys to inspire the next generation on farming and being interested in farming. It's critical.
And that's why each of you should be bringing your children, your grandchildren, all of the above. That's why 7 is here, because we want to make sure that MBGC is all about the family and the next generation, and we want to make sure that they are hearing this information. I mean, how many times we couldn't get the M&Ms this time here, y'all, but how many times do you get to see companies like Mars, organizations like the National Peanut Board, who are talking about what it is that they do and how they have a future for farmers? That there's such a huge future for what you all do and why you do it. So it's important for everyone to be here to hear these discussions.
For the future of farming, I would say that it's kind of slim, to be honest with you, because you know you talk to young people younger than us, ask them about farming, they look at you, you're dirty all the time, sweaty, you know, always working. Nobody wants to work like that anymore. But technology has made it become readily available to make things somewhat easy, but you still have to put in hard work. So, that being said, I would encourage farmers to encourage it, you know, but let me take that back. I would encourage farmers to encourage others who want to farm, but at the same time, you know, I have always been told, you know, when you ask older farmers, you know, nah, you don't want to farm. You don't want to get into this. Well, why not? You know, when we're talking about the future, when you think about it, you know, farmers provide us our food, our fibers, clothing, everything. So we are very essential. And speaking of peanut farmers, you know, peanut farmers, you know, that's kind of like our history, our roots, you know. Talk to granddaddy or your granddaddy, what is he farming? Peanuts, that's about all we, you know, really knew to grow. But peanuts plays a more important part. When I was in the peanut leadership class, we visited in Tifton, I can't remember the name of the place, but anyway, they made peanut butter, and they shipped peanut butter all across America to, you know, children and
Nana.
Yes, Nana, that's what it is, okay. So we visited them, and so they made creamy peanut butter in like pouches, kind of like that. You know, you ship overseas to malnourished children or families or whatever. So just peanut butter itself can be it's very high in protein, you know, so peanuts are very important. And as the National Peanut Board, they'll tell you, you know, the early introduction of peanuts is important, the study, the science, the research, all these things are important. Not only does peanut butter provide an extra source of protein when you think about our oils, you know, peanut oil, of course, we like the snack, candies and all that good nature. So you just think about, if there were no more peanut farmers, you'd be losing out on your, you know, your favorite snacks over there. You know, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, you know, things of that nature, just simple stuff. So that's what comes to mind.
Good.
Okay. All right. Well, you all, ladies and gentlemen, this was our panel. Please give our panel members a round of applause. We hope that you all walk away with some new information about peanuts, something you can take to somebody else. I believe that anything that you do, any place that you go, you should walk away and be able to share something, because we are the advocates. We're the advocates for peanuts. We're the advocates for farmers. So take this information, share it with someone. It doesn't matter what it is that you heard up here today. That one nugget of information might inspire somebody to become a farmer. It might inspire someone to join MBGC. We are accepting all membership. You can pay over there with Dawn. And you can just make sure that, you know, we know the importance of all of these things. So we appreciate you. We thank you for being on this panel today and sharing this information. We've got a little token of appreciation for you. And now I am going to hand it over to Dexter for the next portion of this presentation. But before we give the mic over to him, we are going to do another raffle really quick so we can get that.